Well, thank you so much, everybody. I don't know if I'm worthy to be up here in front of all of these wonderful people. We really are in a room that's just full of giants, people that have done so much for our community. Muchas gracias a todos por darme la oportunidad de estar aquí con ustedes. I got to tell you, I walked into the room, and the first thing I saw was this beautiful board behind me. Those are your issues. But these are your values. Familia, derechos civiles y unidad. When you can clap, you can clap. That's what this organization has been founded on. But I got to tell you, you have continued to live up to those values. And you might want to ask yourself, pues, ¿quién es este? How does he know? Well, I'm going to tell you now that for the first time in my life, I had heard of LULAC for all my life, and I engaged kind of on the periphery. But for the first time in my life, I became a lifetime member. I paid $1,000 last year. And so I took that to mean you don't have to pay any more money anymore. But I'm going to tell you, I'm going to pay $1,000 to this organization every year. Every year for the rest of my life. I'm going to tell you why. May 24th changed my life, my outlook on life. I got to know some people. I represent a district from San Antonio all the way to West Texas, and in the middle of that district there's a little town called Uvalde. And I get a call about 2 days in, 3 days in, from this man sitting at this table, Domingo Garcia. And he says, Roland, how do I help? How does this organization help? And I said, well, Domingo, we're going through a lot right now. Let's give it a few days. Let's see what the resources are like. Let's see what is lacking, and we'll touch back in a week or so. And that week turned into a few days. And I started to see what was happening in this Latino community to families that had lost their little children, that sent them to school and never saw them again. And I promise you, I'm not going to have you down in this sadness for the rest of this evening. We're going to lift you up here in a second. These families have become my friends. They've become mi familia. They've become the familia of this man over here. He has engaged with them over and over again. They've got him on speed dial. Viva Domingo Garcia. You can clap. I want to tell you what this organization did for those families. When the state of Texas, through the Attorney General, gave them absolutely nothing in victims' compensation funds. Nothing. 390 applications were filed for victims' compensation funds. They could have given every family a $75,000 check if they wanted to. They gave them $93,000 for those 390 applications. That's an average of $200. And I don't know if you've ever lost somebody. I'm sure you have. No puedes ir al trabajo. You can't go to work the next day. Your life just changes. And when you lose your little baby, your life is changed forever. Forever. So when we talk about derechos civiles, it is about how you treat people. And when I started scratching at the surface, a year later, I started to see Sutherland Springs. They got a lot more money. El Paso got a little bit more money. And Midland got more money. But Uvalde just didn't happen. As much as we pushed, as much as we strived to do it. And so they raised a bunch of money in the town, all throughout the nation. But that money didn't get to these families for 6 or 7 months. So within about a couple, 3 weeks, 4 weeks passed, we talked again. By that time, I didn't know what Domingo Garcia and your organization was doing. Domingo had put out the message through your organization to raise money for las familias. And he says, where do I give this money, Roland? We collected a little bit of money. Where do I give this? What's the best place for it? I said, Domingo, these families haven't gotten anything. We're here now 4, 5, 6 weeks later. They can't go back to work. And these were working class families, mind you. And so he says, well, I'm going to distribute some checks. I'll be down there. He says, what's the best way to do it? I said, you need to give it to them directly. And so we compiled a list because it's the same law enforcement that failed. And listen, I respect law enforcement. But the Department of Public Safety failed these children in Texas. They did. They did. They would rather pretend to be migrant, immigration troops than to do their jobs, which is to save children. And they're not doing that other job very well either, are they? And so what happened was we set this thing up, and I didn't know how much. I figured, well, he raised a few $1,000s. We get down there, I have 27, 28 families lined up. All of the 19 families, mind you, all of the 19 families, plus the 2 teachers' families, plus 13 other people's children that were wounded, they all got the same check. And by the end of that day, that first day, each family got $26,000. Oh no, time out. It didn't stop there. A few weeks later, he calls me up. He says, man, I've got some more checks to give out. Your organization raised those families $2 million. Each family came away with almost $80,000. You did that. You did that through your efforts. And I will forever be grateful for this organization. Thank you. And yes, Viva LULAC. And from that moment, I became a lifetime member. And every year, I'm going to become a lifetime member till I die. I found a new familia in all of you. And so, Domingo, I've never really thanked you about it, but you're in my prayers every night because you took care of those people in a big way. Listen, I want to talk to you a little bit about the state of affairs in Texas, but it's really the state of affairs in this country. And we are broken, and we have to change where we're at. I only got about 7 minutes left, so I'm going to make this quick. We are broken as a country, and we have to do better. We deserve a government that works. We deserve law enforcement that doesn't leave kids in a room for 77 minutes to die. We deserve a state in Texas, and I know there's a lot of, how many people from Texas in the house? All right. We deserve a state where 800 people don't die when it gets a little cold. I met a woman from Wisconsin earlier, a state rep. It gets really cold in Wisconsin. 800 people don't die when it gets cold in Wisconsin. That happened in Texas, and it happened on these people's watch. And I understand that this is a nonpartisan group, but it's part of the brokenness that's happening in our country. We are not focused on the things that matter most. We are not focused on the things that bring us together as a nation, unidad and familia, the values of this country, the values of this organization. We have gotten to a place where people in public office would rather divide us than bring us together. Right? It is time. It is time that we come back. It is time that we live in a state that doesn't blame some poor migrant for all of the problems facing that state, for the poor health care outcomes, for the poor education outcomes, for the poor infrastructure outcomes. They didn't have anything to do with that. And let me tell you what happened this morning. This morning I woke up real early. I got on a plane, and I woke up to a story of 2 migrants that had drowned, one of them draped over those damn buoys. What is happening right now is inhumane in my state. It is inhumane, and it must stop, and it will stop because your organization stepped in again and said, we will not have this on our watch, and we will fight to make sure that you treat people appropriately. Listen, no matter if there's Republicans in this room, I get it, I'm with you too. But we deserve an immigration system that works, an immigration system that treats people fairly, an immigration that fixes our visa program and brings us together and brings us employment to our country, those jobs that Americans don't want to fill. We all know what they are. And so it is time that we do things that are fair and equitable for people. And there are people in this country and in this state that would rather pick on those poor immigrants than to solve the real problems that are facing us today. I want to talk about the last thing, and that's opportunity. Because this organization was founded on civil rights, but it was founded because of the lack of opportunity to Latinos, right? Ya es tiempo que buscamos otro futuro para nuestra gente. Vamos a luchar por la oportunidad que merecemos. We deserve a country that gives a kid coming out of college a chance, not to be saddled in debt. We deserve a system that allows that person a chance and an opportunity to get ahead in life. And so, I'll close with this. This organization that was founded on these principles, on derechos civiles, on unidad and familia, will forever be ingrained in my heart. Will forever be ingrained in my heart for the things that you have done as an organization. We're going to continue to work together to try to make our state and our country a better place to live. And this is a nonpartisan organization, so we're not going to go there. But you might see something happening in my future here in the weeks to come. And so keep an eye out. Please keep an eye out, because we have to talk about the things that matter most to us, because we deserve to live in a community that is fair and just. We deserve to live in a country that treats us all so well. So with that, que viva LULAC! Que viva Domingo García! Que viva Nuevo México!
El Senador Roland Gutierrez. Let me say something about this guy. 24 hours after Uvalde, LULAC was there. LULAC was there on the scene. And at that corner, across from that school, as parents and family members came and laid flowers, there was a man standing there commiserating, crying with them. It is the man you see here. There was no camera around him. In fact, he had no staff with him. He was there by himself, but I watched you. I saw what you did. Your sleeves were rolled out. You were sweating out there under the Texas sun. You and I didn't know each other then, but I know you tonight. Thank you for what you did for that families, for those families. Let's welcome back Domingo